Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to our workshop, Standardization in the Financial Sector, Opportunities and Challenges. Today's workshop is the result of the liaison of two European research projects. The first one, STAN-ICT, is an Horizon 2020 coordination and support action with the central goal of ensuring a neutral, pragmatic, and fair approach to support European and associated states present in the international ICT standardization scheme. Another one, Infinites, a €21 million flagship project funded by the European Commission, aims to lower the barriers to entry and define new standards and practice for the utilization of novel big data, IoT, and artificial intelligence innovation by the stakeholders in the financial sector. In this framework, the current workshop with Infinites and STAN-ICT will hold this workshop, Standardization in the Financial Sector, Opportunities and Challenges, devoted to any stakeholder interested in finding out more about advanced standardization opportunity to be exploited in the fintech and the insurtech landscape. Then, welcome again to this workshop, and we hope you enjoy and learn with us. Let me introduce you the agenda. Today, we will start with Francesco Osimanti, Senior Project Manager of Horizon 2020 and Horizon Europe project for the Trustside IT Services. He will present STAN-ICT.eu, opportunities and support for European ICT standards specialists. After this, Dr. Shakira Bedoya, Senior Operational Risk Manager in Danske Bank, will provide us an overview of the ISO Technical Committee for Sustainable Finance. Later, John Soldatos, ICT and Business Consultant in InnovatAd, who participate actively in the Infinites project, will show us Infinites technologies for efficiency, regulatory compliance in digital finance. To finalize, Claudia Jurkose-Sale, Consultant Supervisor in the Bank of Slovenia, also a relevant partner in the Infinites project, will present us of retest and subtest to assure compliance with AML CFT regulation. Once we finish the presentation, our panelists will discuss about the status of standardization in the financial sector. And to end the workshop, we will answer your final questions. Please use the chat during the presentation and pose your question to the presenter. After each presentation, they will devote some time to answer your question. But after start with the presentation, I would like to know more about you. We are going to use Slido. If you can enter Slido using this hashtag, Infinites23, or also with your mobile phone, you can scan this QR. And then I would like to know, where are you from? Then this is the first question we have for you. So please, can you answer this question using a Slido? France. More answer. I give you more time in order to check the application. Sweden, Peru, Slovenia. More funds. Okay. Thank you very much for your answer. Also, we would like to know a little more about you. Who are you working for? Insurance, bank, technology companies, university, bank. Okay. Thank you very much for your answer. Then I will give the floor to my colleague Francesco. Francesco, the floor is yours.
Hi there. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much, Carmen.
I will let, yes, I know, I am not sharing.
Yeah, I'm coming up with my presentation. Just
Yes.
give me an, okay, perfect. So good to see you all. Good to be here today. My name is Francesco Zimanti. I'm a project manager in a Horizon Europe and a Horizon 2020 project. And I'm here today to give you, well, a snapshot, a very, very quick overview of the project, standardization related project I'm involved with since 2018. That is called standict.eu. You can see in here, standict.eu 2026, because this workshop and this opportunity to come together, it's really timely for us because we have kicked off literally a couple of weeks ago the third edition of this wonderful project that stretched back to 2017. And we are about to close now the 2023 edition. So what I'm going to do here is to give you a very, very quick view of what the project is about. I think now we have a quite a good and consolidated ICT community of experts throughout the whole Europe. But yeah, for the benefit of you all, I would like to start and share with you the main feature of the project. We'd also like to thank Infinitec as well, because our synergistic cooperation is going on since more than 1 year. I think, Carmen, we signed together our memorandum of understanding back in 2021, and this is the actual first event we do together. But in the meantime, we managed to reciprocally back us up and disseminate the results of our important projects across our respective community. So thanks again for the opportunity of being here today. So what is Standardict.eu? Standardict is a project funded by the European Commission, whose main primary goal is to support the European ICT expert in Europe. For ICT expert, we mean all standardization specialists involved in any kind of information and communication technology available, at least the most popular ones, but not only. The list of eligible ICT topics that we rely on comes directly for the most important source in Europe. That is the rolling plan for ICT standardization that is issued every year by the multi-stakeholder platform of the European Commission. We do not limit our the scope of the project uniquely to the ICT rolling plan, but we are also continuously open to external insights from other experts or coming from a standard developing organization as well. And we do also count on the authoritative insights of our internal external advisory group that is made, by the way, by many SDOs and national standard bodies representatives and people coming from European Industry Association and public and private partnership as well. I didn't mention a very few words on the composition of our consortium. I work for Trust IT SRL. It's an Italian SME company, and we are the technical coordinator of the project, while the financial coordinator is the Dublin City University. We have other reputable organization on board as well. You can see it here at the top of the slide. Open Forum Europe, the European Digital SME Alliance, Fraunhofer Institute, and Australo, a Spanish company. A few words on the main driving force of the project. The project is structured around the fellowship program fellowship program is a series of continuous running open call. We will have 9 open call in the project that we started right now, with an allocated and available budget of nearly 3 million euro. They will run across 36 months, so it will be the rhythm will be pretty hectic, I would say. And this 3 million will be staggered across these 9 open calls. So it's going to be more or less something around 350K. Which are the eligible costs that we provide financial support? Personal working effort, up to the maximum of 450 euro, the maximum daily rate of the European allocated by the European Commission. Travel, event registration fee, membership fees for SDO and SSO's organization. We have also 3 types of grant you can apply for a maximum of 10K, and for a timeline that goes up to 6 months. You might be wondering that 6 months, when we talk about standard development process, is not a long time, and we are fully aware of that. And this has been something that we are continuously asked for. But there is the possibility. This is not just a one-shot opportunity. There is the possibility to apply for more open calls, so in order to provide continuity and ensure more stability to your research. And I would like also to stress there is a possibility to submit even more than one application under the same open call. So as I said a few minutes ago, well, unfortunately, the timing of this workshop it doesn't match perfectly with our open call, because we closed out the last open call of Standardization 2023 just 1 week ago, more or less. It's the one you can see on the screen, but it's not a bad news, not a bad news at all, because we are ready to restart the new series in May. So in May we will launch the first of 9 calls of the new project. So there will be more opportunities in time in the next 3 years to get a financial support for your standard related research activity. I also wanted to give you a hint of what we have been doing and how we managed to tangibly support our community of experts in the past 3 years and earlier, actually. So in this infographic, I tried to collect the main findings and the main results deriving from the open calls. We managed to, well, excuse me if this infographic is not perfectly updated, because the evaluation process of the 9th open call being closed a few days ago is still ongoing. So it recapped the main result up to the 8th open call. And up to the 8th open call, we managed to fund 327 applications. It doesn't mean exactly individuals, because I forgot to mention you that people can be grant even more than once. So we managed to fund 327 applications that account more or less for 250 single individuals. And 9 of them attains the fintech and regtech domains as well. It's not fintech and regtech. It's a quite strategic topic and area for us, because it's not one of it's undeniable. It's not one of the most popular that we are used to fund. You can see that what's standard at the top of the chart are the usual suspects. I mean, the 5G, cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, quantum technology, smart cities. But it's growing up in popularity across our community as well. And I'll go back to that in a bit. On the right side, there is also a classification of the result according to the category of the rolling plan for ICT standardization. These are the usual graphics that we are used to release on our social media after each open call conclusion. I just want to briefly to zoom in, but not too much, on some testimonial from our fellows. I pulled out two of our. I didn't mention here that the fellows is a nice name that we are used to refer to our the Standardization funded expert. I won't linger too much in here, because after me we will have Mrs. Shakira Bedoya, that she's one of our long-lasting fellows, so she will be able to tell you more about this. But so you can see in the bubble some concrete example of how Standard CT can be supportive, and also from the logos of the correlated SDO and national standard bodies, how this organization can really benefit from a free support from external expert. You can see the returning fellow icon under Mrs. Caroline Thomas as well, because she's one of the examples I told you before of people that managed to have a continuous and lasting support from the project. So how can you get to know a bit more about Standardization? What we do on a regular basis is the publication of a dedicated impact report. It's called Following the Fellows. Following the Fellows is a nice booklet. It's a digital booklet, of course, that comprises the main results, the main activities, and the main societal and industrial and SMEs related impact that our fellows managed to attain with the deployment of their activities. This the sixth open call report has been published right a few weeks ago, so it's very fresh. And I would like to invite you to take a look to one of them, or maybe all of them. They are freely accessible on our website, and it's quite pleasurable reading to get an understanding of the tangible evidence of the result of each of our fellows. And it's very important because we try always to summarize the main takeaways and bring them forward to our policy officer as the DG Connect, the Director General office that is in charge of the Standard ICT management. On the other side, I would like to switch the subject a bit because, as said, while the financial support is by far still the driving force and the main component of the Standard ICT machine, it's also important to mention that Standard ICT is not just it doesn't revolve around only on giving money. It's not just about giving money, but it's also about something else. We have another specific aspect of the project that is called the YOS, the European Observatory of Standardization. There's also a section encompassed within our website. What we want to do through the YOS and what we managed to do is to create a series of so-called technical working groups. Those are a group of ICT experts in different working areas, ICT working areas. We managed so far within Standard ICT 2023 to create 12 technical working groups, and their primary purpose, the primary goal is to create this landscape of standards report. These are very helpful and comprehensive booklet that provide a coverage, a mapping of the standardization landscape in some specific areas. Here again, we don't have yet a FinTech, a RegTech technical working group, and I think my colleague Ray Walsh from the Dublin City University, probably you have heard of him, is a pretty popular authority in the standardization world in Europe. He will be pleased, I think, to bring forward a FinTech technical working group as well, maybe in the coming months under Standard ICT 2026. And even here, you can take a look and freely download all of them. You will find a very nice analysis of the correlated ICT landscape and a very long list of correlated and updated standards as well. Another pillar, worthy of mention of Standard ICT is the Academy. It's an ongoing effort that is keeping on moving forward. The Standards Academy is a free and accessible knowledge hub where we try to capture and put available the most important educational material related to standards. This is led by Mr. Brian McAuliffe with other from HP and the National Standard Authority of Ireland and of other colleagues. But the most important and helpful part of the Academy is the categorization of material in different star paths for beginner, intermediate, and advanced user. Again, this is an ongoing effort, and every month this group of members they come up and they keep on implementing the hub with new materials. So this is something that will move forward in new project as well. So it will be broadened and even improved. It was just a quick opportunity that I'd like to share with you. We have within our website we have a success stories section. Success stories is a nice area where we like to put the stories, the standards related best practices, best stories into spotlight from our community at large. So it's not just from our fellows, but if you have some nice case studies that you like to share with us. It can be related to academia, to research, to industry, and of course, it can span throughout any kind of ICT technology. Feel free to submit the form, and we will take care of putting it on the website and give them the proper visibility across our community. That is, trust me, is really huge. It accounts for more than 5,000 people throughout all social media newsletter subscribers. So I think it's a worthy opportunity for you as well to size. And lastly, I'm going to conclude my before taking any question, of course, my presentation. Mentioning you the series of events and webinars that we are used to carry out across the year. Probably some of you is already familiar with the series Walk and Talk webinar. The Walk and Talk webinar are a digital event that we organize on a quarterly basis, and every time we pick up one of the most important priorities from the eligible topics of STAND ICT. We do invite respective speakers and authorities, and we managed so far. You can see in our webpage to organize more than 15 webinars in the past edition of the project. The last one was organized on the 18th of January 2023, and it was a very important occasion to bring together representatives from different commission DG, and also to get a lot of takeaways and insightful policy-related ideas, especially to tackle the problem of education in standardization that is going to be taking ground very much in the coming months, and even right now, actually. We did also draw on a very nice and short and sweet report from this event. It's available on our website. You should find it. This is the link. It's in Zenodo, but you should be able to find it out very, very quickly. So this is a quite short, I know, but hopefully encompassing overview of the project. I hope that I shed some light on the main aspect, but I'm here available now and later for any questions, also in the chat if any. Thank you all.
Thank you, Francesco. Amazing work you are doing here in STEM ICT. My congratulations, because it's a huge job. I know it's very difficult to pave the way to do this kind of efforts in standardization, and my congratulations for this. I don't know if we have any questions. Any question for Francesco?
Also after the event in the future, for those that will see this online in the coming days.
Perfect.
I will leave to Carmen I have no problem in sharing my working email address. I'm always open.
Sure. Then thank you very much again. I think if we don't have any question, we can go to check it out presentation. I'm going to share the presentation. This I see. It's okay. I think you can see it, no?
Yes.
Yes. Shakira, you can move the presentation.
Myself, yes, I think so. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay.
perfect.
Super. So my topic today is sustainable fintech, and I provide an overview of the ISO Technical Committee for Sustainable Finance. So thank you for the invitation. It is a pleasure to be with you today. I decided to divide my talk into three parts. I will introduce first the ISO Committee for Sustainable Finance. Second, I will give you an overview of one of its working groups called Sustainable FinTech. And third, I will provide you with some personal reflections on today's main topic, which is what could be the role of standardization in the financial sector. I want to begin by saying that I work in asset management business controls. This is a compliance support function, and that I have degrees both in law and risk management. So my view of standardization is strongly influenced by what I see in my daily work concerning governance, risk management, and the role of a good internal control framework. For those who might not be familiar with the terminology, ISO is the International Organization for Standardization, with a global network of national standard bodies. It is pretty extensive, and there are currently 165 countries involved and several liaison members, which includes everything from international organizations, the European Commission, environmental agencies, United Nations agencies, and various NGOs. Broadly put, ISO standards are written in several technical committees and are internationally agreed by appointed experts. So I have worked in standardization for some years already as a member of both the Norwegian and the Danish delegation, and I'm currently appointed in the ISO Committee for Sustainable Finance, among other committees. I'm also a Climate Safe Lending Fellow and a STAN ICT Fellow, as Francesco mentioned. All right. So let's begin by talking about the Committee for Sustainable Finance. It was officially established in 2018, with the first plenary meeting taking place in 2019. The committee is responsible for the development of ISO standards related to sustainable finance. This is not to say that ISO never worked on issues or topics connected with sustainable finance. This is just to say that a committee with that specific focus was created in 2018. Now, sustainable finance is considered by the committee to mean financing as well as related institutional and market arrangements that support progress to achieving the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals and addressing climate change. Broadly put, the committee aims at integrating sustainability considerations, including environmental, social, and governance practices in all aspects of financing economic activities. The sustainable finance ecosystem, the one that you have right now in the screen, is a very complex one, and it has various stakeholders, and we can call different parts, right? So if you take a look at the graphic, you can see in number one a term named enabling function, and under enabling function, the phrase standard. So standards are seen by the committee as a key component of an enabling function that will also allow this ecosystem to operate together with good ESG data and ESG reporting, including innovations such as fintech. I think it is interesting to point out here that standards are not a mandatory regulatory requirement, nor a policy. Standards are by definition a collection of best practices written by experts who know the need of the organizations they represent. So standards address topics such as making a product, managing a process, delivering a service, or supplying a service. In terms of sustainable finance, there are four main activities that generally put standardization is looking at: governance, assurance and verification, transparency and disclosure, and impact assessment. Now, the work program of the Sustainable Finance Committee covers three sets of standardization activities. The first set of activities is harmonization. So we look at creating a terminology guide to harmonize a common understanding and language. Number two is setting principles and framework standards applicable to the whole financial system, meaning high-level principles for sustainable finance to guide the operations of financial institutions and frameworks to give a structure and context for the development and role of specific standards. And then number 3, developing a set of technical standards that cover sustainable finance taxonomies, impact assessment requirements, and disclosure requirements, including verification for each of the major financial products. In 2021, the committee published a first standard in its portfolio related to basic concepts and key initiatives. And in October last year, the committee published a second ISO, namely ISO 32210, the Sustainable Finance Guidance on the application of sustainability principles for organization in the financial sector. Now, parallel to the work of this committee, the Sustainable Finance Committee voted also to open a technical advisory group on sustainable fintech. So in the second part, let's talk briefly about the Sustainable Fintech Technical Advisory Group. The term fintech is used to label any business that uses technology to enhance or automate financial services and processes. So the idea behind a sustainable fintech group is to increase customer benefits in terms of usability, efficiency, transparency, and automation, with the addition to focus on integrating sustainable development aspects of financial activities, in particular products and services. So previously, I mentioned that in terms of sustainable finance, there were 4 main activities that in general standardization is looking at: governance, assurance and verification, transparency and disclosure, and impact assessments. So when the Sustainable Finance Committee opened a working group on fintech, the real question we are exploring is how new financial technologies might increase efficiency to address ESG topics in these areas: governance, impact assessment, transparency and disclosure, and assurance and verification. So in addition, we look at how these improvements will allow us to measure performance systems as well as credibility of our outcomes, therefore potentially helping to prevent greenwashing. The Sustainable Fintech Tag aims to integrate fintech with financial sustainable development via 2 strategic goals. The first one is collaboration with other ISO committees. For example, with the Committee for Financial Services, the Committee addressing governance of organizations, the Committee on Security and Organizational Resilience. And the idea behind a Sustainable Fintech Tag is to enable a proactive dialogue with fintechs on financial services standard matters. To that degree, the technical group provides fintechs a means to cooperate, exchange views, and share information related to specific standards on a regular basis. And the second goal of the working group is engagement, to support and engage fintech experts into the specific work related to sustainability. The goal is to build in, as part of the sustainable finance agenda, developing standards for the future, meaning to support and engage with the fintech community on standard requirements. As an ISO technical group, the Sustainable Fintech Tag does not in itself develop standards, but it seeks to establish a forum in the area of a standard for sustainable fintech. So objectives that we are currently addressing are to work with fintech community, including public sector bodies and ISO, to fill out possible gaps, to promote the adoption and implementation of consistent standards, to effectively address common issues collectively, and to encourage a strong and open communication and the sharing of information concerning financial services standards. So, in the third part, I'm going to go through some reflections and questions concerning the possible role of standardization in the financial sector. So when you work on standardization in the financial sector, you will be working on developing best practices and guidelines in a highly regulated environment. And I think this is something very important to keep in mind, because in finance, it should not be about creating a new regulation. It should be about guiding and facilitating processes and better outcomes. So what could be the role of standardization in the financial sector from the perspective of fintech? In May last year, the Sustainable Finance Committee held a plenary session in Lisbon, looking at the strategy, the ESG finance priority, and the roadmap ahead. So the fintech group pointed towards 3 possible benefits of standardization by looking at 3 main common problems identified by various stakeholders like the G20 Tech Sprint. So the three common problems were data collection, verification and sharing, the analysis and assessment of transition and physical climate-related risk, and the need to connect projects and investors. In terms of data collection, verification, and sharing, right now, there is a perception of information asymmetry in the collection and sharing of environmental data. So this is due to various reasons. One of them is the lack of consistent data methods and disclosure regimes, and limited verification of self-reported returns. And this, of course, negatively affects the reliability of the aggregated data we're currently using. So the main question here is, can technological solutions also be used to aid the collection of relevant climate-related data and reporting requirements in a consistent, high-quality, transparent, and standardized ways to enhance the environmental risk analysis, for example? In relation to the analysis and assessment of transition and physical climate risk, one of the main difficulties for financial institutions is the ability to predict the vulnerabilities associated with this type of risk. So the main question here is, how can data, predictive analytics, and other tools be developed to aid both regulators and institutions to better analyze climate risk across different regions, sectors, and asset classes? And about the need to connect projects and investors, new technologies can support and promote projects such as small and medium-sized businesses, startups, or even local authorities to raise funds for sustainable projects. At the same time, it can also help transparency, and it can provide investors a way to connect and finance sustainable specific projects. So another question here is, for example, can technological solutions help to improve access to the financing needs of marginalized communities? How can technological solutions help to direct capital to those in need to build resilience in the face of climate change? So I think the task of anyone working on standardization right now is finding a way to communicate and show concretely how and in which way standards can add value. What is our role as standardization and banking professionals in the climate transition? These are, of course, big questions, and I don't have the answers, but I do think that when we talk about fintech, sustainability, and standardization in the financial sector, we should keep in mind that at the end of the day, it's about facilitating processes and better outcomes for companies, business owners, and people. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Shakira. Very good presentation. I think the subject is very, very, very relevant. And I hope you can succeed in the implementation on this kind of standards to support the society also. Okay, let me check. At this moment, I don't see any question. So maybe we can pass the turn to John.
Thank you, Carmen. I'll try to share my presentation.
Good.
I hope you can see my screen. You can hear me. Is that right?
We can hear you, but we cannot see your screen right now. We are seeing Shakira, and at least myself. No.
Okay, I think it's coming, eh?
Yes,
Coming.
right now, yes.
Thank you very much. Let me go for full screen. I don't know if this plays a role. Okay. So I think this presentation comes timely after Shakira gave a very good overview of different standardization initiatives in the finance sector, also talking about ESG investments. And I'd like to share some insights and some information on what we have been doing in the Infinitec project, mostly in the area of regulatory compliance or easing regulatory compliance. You could call this partly regulatory technology. Infinitec is one of the biggest projects in Europe in digital finance. The focus is big data and artificial intelligence in digital finance. I'm John Soldato's scientific advisor at company Innovax and involved in the Infinitec project. Since I'll give some background about the motivation of using data, especially big data and artificial intelligence in RegTech. And the benefits mainly lie in automation, in efficiency, and in increased intelligence. We know that finance is a very regulated area, and a lot of data are produced. At the same time, regulations can be complex, but also sometimes can be volatile. It's a traditionally data-intense sector, the finance sector, and in the recent years, with the advent of open banking and the Second Payment Services Directive, it has become even more intense in terms of data generation. So out of the whole range of benefits you can get from AI, for example, analyzing unstructured documents using natural language processing, I picked to talk about one benefit that we have exploited a lot in the Infinitec project, and it is the fact that you can monitor transactions at a finer degree of granularity. So a lot of things in the finance sector happen in batches, right? By processing batch of transactions, whereas with artificial intelligence and with having, robots, bots processing the data, you can go and monitor and scrutinize individual transactions, and this delivers one of the main benefits. Now, Infinitec, as I said, is a big project. It's mainly about artificial intelligence and big data, but we cover the entire sector of finance with a lot of use cases, and even we explore also the potential of distributed ledger technologies for these use cases, blockchains, beyond the traditional, the classical use, which is crypto and cryptocurrencies. Now, I've selected a list of different solutions I would like to talk on that we have developed in the Infinitec project, and I'm gonna go.
Sorry, John, to interrupt. Are you sharing the screen? Because we still see the first slide of your presentation.
My screen. Sorry. Yes. Thanks for the interruption, so that I'm able to fix this. Is it right that I have to share the slides through my PowerPoint or not?
I uploaded your PDF presentation. I don't know if you can see it.
Yes.
Yes, you can. You just have to change the slides.
How can I switch slides? Is this
Just
through the platform? Sorry. Maybe I'm missing something, or?
Yes, you can change the slides directly from your PC.
From the PowerPoint, right?
Yes, from the PDF presentation.
Okay, but could you do this, or?
Okay, I shared it again.
Yes, but I don't see, I don't see the.
Well, maybe you can tell me which slides you want me to go.
Yes, if you can do it.
Okay, sure.
I'm in the third slide.
Okay.
Yeah, that was I was talking. So if you can. Oh, thank you very much, Carmen. Right, or Lucille. Sorry. If you can go to the next one, and that was about Infinitec, and the next one, that was the one I was talking about, is next one, please. That's the list of Infinitec solutions that I've discussed for presenting today. And again, based on the advantages I talked before, we leverage artificial intelligence and to foster regulatory compliance. So that's the list of 6 solutions I want to go quickly through for the sake of time. So one is anti-money laundering, and fraud, and the second is a fraud detection solution. Third one is blockchain for know your customer. So again, this hits on customer onboarding, anti-money laundering, a decentralized consent management system that can foster GDPR compliance, and then analyzing blockchain graphs for fraudulent transaction. Again, this is in the fraud detection and anti-money laundering area. So if you go to the next slide, please. Yes, we can start with the anti-money laundering platform. Maybe Claudia will be talking about this. So if you go to the next one, I'm not going to say any details. I'm going to say only that we have earlier on I talked about RegTech, regulatory technology here. The colleagues from Bank of Slovenia, they call it SupTech, so which means supervision technology. So basically, the idea is drilling down and automating the processing of individual transactions towards flagging potentially suspicious transactions using machine learning technology, while being able to explain to the supervisor, to the supervision department, why something is potentially suspicious. So this is a solution developed by Bank of Slovenia and Joseph Stefan Institute. I think you will hear more about it later. So the next one is the instant launch fraud detector. If you can move. So this is a solution that leverage AI in order to spot potentially fraudulent behavior, fraudulent operations in the process of loans claim. Again, the fundamental principle is what I presented in the beginning. With AI, you can process way more amounts of data, and you can go to a finer granularity of the transaction. This solution is developed by Fujitsu and CaixaBank and is tested in CaixaBank in Spain. So maybe we can go to the next solution for the sake of time, which is the decentralized KYC that's developed by my company. We know all that the process of onboarding a business or a retail customer is mandatory. And still, as of the regulatory authorities, you have to ask the customer for certain documents as part of the onboarding process. So we know that each time we have to communicate electronically, possibly with different authorities to collect these documents and then to give it to the financial institution. So what's the idea here in the next slide? How about creating a trusted network, a trusted decentralized network of partners written in a blockchain so that we know exactly what information is written there in a secure fashion, anti-tampered fashion, while being able to grant consent from the customer to the financial institution to access the information that is already there. So basically, if you've given your information already to the bank, why do you need it to give it again to another financial institution if all our systemic banks can be participants to a trusted network? So that's the merits of a decentralized approach for KYC, KYB, know your customer, know your business. And with this, I would like to advance to the next solution. Lucy, I think I explained this, which is the decentralized consent management. Now, generalizing on the blockchain concept, and because a lot of times in the financial sector, especially now that we have the Second Payment Services Directive, the customer gives consent to access their data. Maybe all of us already grant consent to one bank to access our accounts in other banks so that we see all our accounts from an integrated place. But of course, there are many other things we can do by giving consent to different financial institutions to access our data. For example, building a risk profile for us, for our investments or for our loans and so on. So what's the idea here is we have created a blockchain solution for keeping track of all these consents, leveraging on the tamper-proof properties of the blockchain, so that we know if a consent is written there, you have a single version of the truth, and you can go back for public scrutiny and prove that this consent was given and for what purpose was given. Again, we don't write business data on the chain, we just write the consents, and we give the opportunity to regulators, but also to banks, to visit the blockchain and in this way boost compliance to PSD2 mandates, but especially to the GDPR regulation. And maybe, we can move to the next one. So the idea is, yes, with data sharing access control. Now, the fifth solution, and not the fourth as is written in this slide, involves artificial intelligence, a special type of artificial intelligence, which is called graph AI. So it analyzes graphs to spot fraudulent activities in blockchain networks, in cryptocurrency networks. We know that networks like Bitcoin, especially Bitcoin, but also Ethereum and other cryptos, are frequently accused of being vehicles for fraudulent activities. So what if we could have a solution that analyzes the graph of transactions, correlates these transactions with other known information like blacklisted IP addresses, and flags potentially fraudulent transactions in the blockchain? And this is very useful information, as you understand, for providing some protection, for example, in the different exchanges of blockchains. Now, this is a challenging solution from the technical perspective. It was developed by Aktifbank in Turkey and Boğaziçi University, also again from Turkey. So we had to solve, and maybe if you go to the next slide, Lucille, we had to solve a high-performance computing problem. So the idea is that when you get or you model all the transaction graphs, the crypto blockchains are public, so you can get the transaction graphs, and then analyze it by means of graph AI on a high-performance computing system, maybe in the next slide, and then spot potentially fraudulent transaction. Now, fraud in our case means that part of this transaction is associated with an IP address or a party that is blacklisted, right? It is deemed suspicious, and this is what you can see in the next slide. Yes, and there have been also a lot of fraudulent incidents in crypto exchanges. You probably read about them in the news. So this is some technology that gives to regulators, but also to financial institutions, also to the exchanges themselves, the means for controlling, for identifying potentially fraudulent transactions, like for anti-money laundering purposes. I would like to end up discussing our last solution by our partner Gradient from Spain, in Galicia. So what they have developed is a solution for large-scale anonymization, of big data. Now, we understand why anonymization is a very important building block for regulatory compliance. For example, for GDPR, certain things can be allowed if sensitive data are anonymized and in a way that you cannot identify, the source data and the sensitivities. So that's our data anonymization solution. If you move on to the next slide, so it applies risk-based approach. Yeah, maybe the previous to anonymization. Thank you. And also using some novel anonymization algorithms for geopositioned data, and also some privacy metrics that spot the potential attack surface associated with the attacker. It's not a solution just for finance, it's a solution for big data, but finance is one of the sectors this has been tested and validated and exploited from our project. I would like to end up by echoing that my first message, that AI and machine learning, also blockchain technology, provide a lot of potential for increasing regulatory compliance. If you go to our marketplace that you can see in the next slide, it takes just 2 minutes to register there, marketplace.infinitec-h2020.eu. You will be able to access more information about all the solution, including in several cases the code of some open source version of the solution, but also we have a YouTube channel where you can access hundreds of videos with webinars, courses, hackathons, and also informative video tutorials about this solution. So register to our marketplace, subscribe to our YouTube channel that you can see in the next slide. And yeah, of course, you can also visit our site and subscribe to our newsletter. Thank you very much for your attention, and apologies to all the colleagues here, but to the participants for the problem with switching the slides. Thank you, Lucille, about this. And of course, I'm looking forward to any questions to the audience, if there are any, and to the panel discussion later. Carmen?
Thank you very much, John, for your presentation. I think you have done a very good overview about our work in Infinitec. Thank you for this. And then after the presentation, I don't see any question, but for sure we will discuss later in the panel discussion. We can pass the floor to Claudia from UCourses. I don't know if I say perfectly your name.
It's complicated. It's Jurkoszek-Seitel, so it's hard to pronounce. Thank you, Carmen. I will try to upload my presentation. Okay. Can you see the presentation?
Yes, I see.
Okay, good. Just it is at the end, so I will have to go at the beginning. So, hello everybody. So, yes, I am Claudia from Bank of Slovenia. I work as a senior supervisor in the area of AML CFT, so anti-money laundering and terrorist financing supervision. I also do a lot of work on the regulation on this area on a national and supranational level. And at the same time, I'm also a project leader for a pilot that is being developed in the Infinitec project, as John mentioned before, so platform for AML supervision. But however, John, today I will not be talking as much about that platform. I will focus on the use of RegTech and SupTech to assure compliance with AML CFT regulation. And in this regard, perhaps just a short quote, Benjamin Franklin said that only two certain things are in life, so death and taxes. Some changed this quote to that there are only two certain things in life, and that are death and more regulation. And John, I think you will agree with me on this one. So, like I said in today's presentation, I will present what is going on in the AML CFT regulation developments and how the financial institutions adopted RegTech to assure compliance with it. Also, digitalization has become increasingly important also for supervisors. So in this presentation, we will also touch upon latest SupTech developments.
I am wondering. No, yes.
Everything okay, Carmen?
Yes. I see right now your slide about content. Okay.
Yes. Okay, perfect. AML CFT regulation. So currently, the fight against money laundering and terrorist financing is not something new. EU adopted its first AML directive already in 1991. However, it only in recent years became an important topic and focus of regulators and supervisors. Currently, the fifth AML directive is in place that addresses in international context of money laundering and terrorist financing and enhances the EU financial sector stability and reputation. To assure compliance by obliged entities, supervisors, and other relevant stakeholders, AML directive is technologically neutral and do not prioritize the use of one tool over another. And who are the main stakeholders in the money laundering terrorist financing prevention framework? Here we focus on the prevention part. So the law enforcement proceedings are the whole other beast, so we will not tackle that part. So financial institutions and other obliged entities such as lawyers, notaries, auditors, and others have to identify their customers. They have to monitor their transactions and assess the risk whether the customer might abuse transactions or business relationship to launder money or finance terrorism. If obliged entities detect this dirty money going through their systems, they have to report this to the Financial Intelligence Unit. So the FYUs or financial intelligence units, these are usually the administrative national bodies that are responsible to receive and analyze suspicious activity reports from financial institutions and other obliged entities. Within their analytical function, FYUs analyzes the suspicious activity reports and send relevant reports to the police or other law enforcement agency. So then we go to the criminal part. But from the preventive measure point of view, FYU also have a valuable role because they analyze reported transactions to detect risks that are going on the national level. So they also publish very frequently or inform obliged entities about new typologies relevant in their country. Important role also have national supervisors, especially because supervisors supervise the obliged entity. So their policies, procedures, IT systems nonetheless. And if they detect that obliged entity did not implement a good control environment, they of course can require that they improve their control environment. So to be more resilient to the money laundering terrorist financing risks. Supervisors are also responsible to provide guidance to their financial institutions and are therefore standard settlers. In addition to the national supervisors, important role plays also the European Banking Authority, or EBA, who provides guidelines for the financial institutions and national authorities, and in this regards harmonizes understanding of AML directive requirements on the EU level. Okay, so in the recent year, of course, we all faced the COVID pandemic, and this reminded all of us how, and also the European regulator, that the change and the step forward towards better digitalization is needed. In September 2020, European Commission issued Digital Finance Strategy, for Europe that promotes the benefits of digital finance, such as better financial products for customers, support to Europe's recovery strategy, enhancement of financial market with cross-border digital finance, and of course, strengthening the Europe's open strategic autonomy in financial services. As a relevant step, European Commission identified a need to improve regulatory framework that will facilitate the innovation. ECA, so these are a European Supervisory Authority, also EBA is included, issued an advice to the European Commission in this regard, identifying AML-CFT regulation as one of the legislation that needs to be improved in order to support innovation. I mentioned before, obliged entities have to identify their clients in order to assure compliance with AML-CFT regulation. In the digital strategy, the Commission promoted EU-wide use of digital identity, and this is one of the challenges that new AML regulation will have to address. Currently, we have a directive. This means that it was transposed to national legislation so that the rules are not harmonized. And it's the procedure of customer identification is different throughout member states. So the digital identity did not function as intended. And it was intended that customer data could be reused if customer provided consent to one of the obliged entity within the EU. So yeah, and here we have a slide about new AML regulation development. So in July 21, actually in the time of Slovenian presidency to the EU Council, the Commission issued a really comprehensive package of different legislative proposals that will further regulate this important issue. In accordance with before mentioned digital strategy, Commission now harmonized AML-CFT requirements obliged entity across the EU have to comply with. This was proposed in the AML regulation, so this is one proposal. So in the future, in regard, as I mentioned before, the customer identification required data and process will be harmonized, which facilitates the use of innovative technology and allow the seamless cross-border operation without the need to apply different processes or comply with additional requirements in each member state. This will make very much easier to identify customer and check their credential while assuring full compliance with the AML-CFT risk-based approach. And this customer identification is only one of the examples provided. Still, in regard to the supervision, cooperation between supervisors, cooperation between FYUs, AML directive will stay in place, a bit enhanced, but anyhow, we will still have the directive. In addition, EU with this new package is getting a new AML authority who will have supranational supervisory role and the role of a policymaker or a standard settler. In this regard, AMLA will take over the current role of the EBA. And finally, there is an enhancement of TFR regulation. This adoption of this regulation was expedited because they wanted to adopt it together with MiCA, so regulation on markets in crypto assets. In accordance with TFR, crypto assets service provider will have to ensure that transfers of crypto assets are accompanied by required information. This is a similar obligation that already stands for payment service providers. So I bored you now to death with the regulation, but let's see how financial institutions and supervisors use innovative technology to assure compliance with the existing and soon-to-be regulation. In regard to the RegTech, EBA performed the analysis of RegTech in EU financial sector. This was in 21 and identified that this technology is used for customer screening against the list of sanctions. This is now very relevant because of the Russian aggression in the Ukraine. And also screening of politically exposed persons who are more vulnerable to corruption, and therefore the risk of money laundering exists. Screening tools can provide a lot of false positive hits. That's why, due to the name similarity, what we see as a supervisor, that a lot of financial institutions are now leaning towards AI solutions to reduce false positives, the volume of false positives. Similar trends we see in regard to adverse media screening solutions. Financial institutions use RegTech to identify natural persons. So their identification, like I mentioned before, they use video identification or biometric readings, and also for identification of legal entities, they use robots extracting information from business registers, as an example, of course. They also use RegTech for automation of risk criteria calculation for the assessment of risk associated with the customer or a business relationship, and to monitor behavior and transaction of customer to detect suspicious money laundering, terrorist financing activity. Financial institutions use transaction monitoring systems, where we also see financial institutions try to reduce a large volume of false positives by implementing innovative technologies. So based on the EBA report, the top 3 technology used in AML CFT RegTech solutions are cloud computing, data transfers protocols, and machine learning, followed by semantics, graph analysis, predictive data analytics, and natural language processing. From our experience on the market, more financial institutions have contacts with biometrics and image recognitions. However, here very relevant is GDPR compliance, and in this regard, also national limitations. Also in future, with adoption of MiCA, distributed ledger technology or blockchain will also become very relevant for financial institutions. With MiCA, only financial institutions will be allowed to provide crypto services. So existing crypto assets providers will have to be licensed as financial institutions, or existing financial institutions will also have opportunity to offer new products and new services. Okay. The list of challenges that are here on the slides are not exhaustive. Financial institutions definitely tackle with more challenges. These are perhaps those that are AML CFT relevant and were also addressed with guidelines issued by EBA. So challenges are the need to ensure interoperability with internal ICT systems and other RegTech solutions, lack of harmonization in the EU regulation and supervisory approach, and lack of trust in the technology providers. As a response, EBA prepared the money laundering, terrorist financing risk factors guidelines that include criteria financial institutions should follow or should consider when using innovative technological means to verify and also to verify identity. Further, our guidelines on remote customer onboarding, that includes steps financial institutions should take to ensure safe and effective remote customer onboarding when using new and innovative technologies. Guidelines on outsourcing arrangements address challenge of trust to technology providers. They include clear definition of outsourcing and specify the criteria to assess whether or not an outsourced activity, service, process, or function is critical or important. Last and not least, risk-based supervision guidelines define the supervisory approach. Supervisors should understand the risk in the financial institution and also the risk connected to development and use of new technology. Here, it is also important that supervisors have adequate knowledge. Yes, digitalization has also become increasingly important on a European banking supervisory level. In this regard, the European Central Bank, so the ECB, in its newsletter wrote that banking supervisors need to make big effort to raise awareness of impact of new technology on banking processes and to strengthen their technology skills. So knowledge sharing here plays an important role in creating synergies, identifying areas in which SupTech can make the greatest contribution. For this reason, ECB built a platform called Virtual Lab that facilitates cross-border teamwork and allows European banking supervisors to explore innovative ideas and to collaborate on AI developments and other projects. EBA also supports the scaling of innovative technology whilst ensuring high standards of consumer protection and financial sector resilience. This is done by monitoring developments and supporting knowledge sharing between the supervisors and common regulatory and supervisory stance via the EBA FinTech Knowledge Hub, by thematic analysis and also by policy responses. AML-CFT area has a bit of a slower pace concerning the digitalization. However, progress is seen. The EBA adopted the SupTech report, which is unfortunately confidential, so I cannot share any details with you. However, it does confirm that only few SupTechs reported by the EU supervisory authorities were related to AML-CFT. So in this presentation, I include findings from the Financial Stability Board and Bank of International Settlements, who analyzed the SupTech on the international level, and also experience that we gained during the communication with other national and EU AML-CFT supervisors. Okay. So SupTech solutions may provide support in the following areas. Increase of AML-CFT surveillance capacity throughout the combination of traditional and non-traditional data sources. Assess the overall risk on financial institutions through advanced analytics and network analysis. And to identify new trends and patterns in money laundering and assess how money laundering and terrorist financing typologies evolve over time. Okay, on this next slide, we can see that SupTech is mostly used for data analytics and data collection. This is based on the Bank of International Settlements report. However, in recent analysis, also, we identified that supervisors are exploring advanced visualization and AI analytics for the purpose of AML supervision. Yes, and I do have to mention, of course, our platform for AML supervision, because it is a SupTech tool that we have developed during the Infinitech project. And so together with our partner, JSI, And this platform does leverage on the data collection, so we do receive automated reports. We are using big data analytics and enhanced visualization and AI. And these technologies are used within several functionalities within platform. And the intention, of course, is to promptly identify new risks, money laundering and terrorist financing risks, in order to improve, enhance, make better process of planning and, of course, supervision. Of course, also supervisors, we face many challenges when developing or using SupTech. And just to name a few, are data quality and completeness challenge. It is a challenge to assure that data is of good quality, so that it supports supervisor in proper decision. Also, data privacy issues in this regard, and of course, GDPR requirements are important and also a challenge in a way. Resources, so insufficient staff resources and also lack of in-house skills and competence. And of course, supervisors, we are used of using our own IT or our own resources to support in IT solutions. Then reputational risk, understanding the limitation of new technology is, as already mentioned, key to assessing their value. Supervisory authorities broadly agree that most SupTech outputs may need some level of manual oversight or intervention before it could be actionable. In addition, the lack of transparency of some SupTech applications could also have implications on the accountability of an authority. So the EBA guidelines on risk-based supervision that were already mentioned partially address data quality and completeness challenge, since it does include the requirement that supervisors must use reliable sources. And if there is a need for data analysis, supervisors should be assured with proper legal grounds for data sharing. And for data gathering, of course. To facilitate innovation culture among supervisors, skills and competence, exchange of knowledge, experience and lessons learned is important. And nowadays, more and more we see this in practice. Here, the important role plays the EBA. And also, many bilateral meetings are arranged with within the authorities. So we had quite some of those dissemination activities during the Infinitech project, where we presented our work and lessons learned on the AML platform. And at the same time, when we presented, we also received very valuable information from authorities that we presented, and also the work that they were doing. Based on the monitoring of SupTech developments, EBA and later on the new AML CFT authority will further enhance existing policies and standards to support supervisors in the use of innovative technologies during their work. Okay, so this is from the digital finance strategy, the beginning or start of the strategy itself. So the future of finance is digital. I could not agree more. However, we have to be cautious and aware of the risk. And of course, we are looking forward of new developments. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Claudia, for bringing us closer the world of supervisors and the work you do to bringing us more safety. I am checking we don't have any question right now, but I think we can go to the panel discussion. We have some questions to deal with. First, I would like to start with a question about how does RegTech foster innovation in standards? Who can answer this question?
I think I can answer that one, Carmen. Thank you for the question.
Thank you.
So as I mentioned previously, the way, at least from the perspective of ISO, how it works is that we need to invite experts to actually be part of the standardization process. So I would say the first one is engagement with experts who are able to tell us and to work with us to see what are the needs of the market. And the other part of the fostering innovation is actually being able to map out what is needed for the market. So where are the needs of specific standards? So I would say both things, right? Including experts, but also understanding what are the needs of the market. Having said that, I do think that there is a challenge currently, at least at the level of standardization in a global platform like ISO, because standards are not written in 6 months, right? Standards are a more or less 2 to 3 year process. So it takes quite a lot of time to get the information, to invite different states, to get various stakeholders to be involved, to resolve comments, and finally to have a product called standard. So that's also part of the challenge of working with the standards. It's innovations are a fast-paced thing, and the standards are they have a process, right? So that would be my input.
Yes, we know about this time delay between the innovation and the standard. It's difficult to tackle this time sometimes. Well, thank you for your question. I don't know if anyone else can or want to add anything else to.
Yeah, just to say that there is a lot of traction in regulatory technology. So if you just see the number of companies that they are advocating of doing RegTech, this is increasing really in a very big pace. Actually, maybe Carmen, a few years ago, like 4 or 5 years ago, maybe RegTech was not even a term, right? It became a significant segment of the fintech landscape because there were too many companies trying to solve regulatory compliance issues using technology actually in better ways than financial institutions do today. So I think it is generally a positive thing that we have innovators helping us to comply better to regulations, but also I think they are giving also input to regulators by implementing novel ways of doing things, right? So they are also a source of inspirations for regulation, which are usually more conservative, or if you want more bureaucratic, excuse the term, when compared to smaller companies. So this interaction in the ecosystem can give some good ideas from innovators to the regulators, and then of course the regulators will filter them accordingly and see if it really makes sense to do something, right? This is very important because you see nowadays we have a great pace of innovative things. We have, I don't know, generative AI, ChatGPT today, and every time we ask ourselves, what does this mean for society? What does this mean for our sector? And what do we need to change? What do we need to regulate? And what do we need to do different?
And if I may add, John, to what you said, to filter throughout the regulation and requirements. And it is, I mean, a lot of time it is advocated we have this kind of innovation and that, but then perhaps this new innovation don't even have some basic security issues covered. So that's why it's very important that the awareness of regulatory RegTech is verified by those that will be used. And of course, also the regulators help here with the regulation on what they should think when they're adopting new technology.
Thank you, all of you, for your intervention and for clarifying all these interesting questions. Yes. Also, we have another question regarding artificial intelligence in digital finance. Is a new threat for regulatory violation or a useful tool for regulatory compliance? Also, is linked with our conversation. Yes.
May I?
Yeah, start.
Well, surprisingly, it is both, right? I have some echo, I don't know. Surprisingly, let me fix my echo.
John, we cannot hear you.
Okay, surprisingly, it is both. So on the one hand, AI, as I mentioned also in my presentation, provides a lot of opportunity for doing things better and more intelligent, and also to develop new standards. On the other hand, it creates new threats, right? So it creates, for example, new ways to do fraud, right? New ways to compromise security, new ways to be more creative in your money laundering. So it is both an opportunity and a threat. So the challenge is to isolate the threats.
Sorry, John, to
so
interrupt.
that they are not creating any harm and leverage on the opportunity. I don't know what the others have to say.
We can't hear you well.
No, it's
Sorry,
a problem with the sound. It's a problem with your sound. It's not like a chopping right now.
I think I understood what John said. So this means that yes, it means an opportunity on both sides. So for those that want to do criminal activities and for those that want to, produce efficient work. So I couldn't agree with you more, John, and that's why we are. Also what I said before. So in this regard, also regulation is important. So what to be aware of when you are introducing AI technology. We heard that financial institutions are already using it, but they still have to, do this soundness check whether or not it is also a safe way to do it. Not to be vulnerable for those that are trying to abuse the financial sector for their own purposes. And as far as I know, the Commission has already proposed the first AI regulation, and this was done in April 21. And they are trying to assure with this regulation that people will trust in the AI and everything that AI can offer. Personally, I agree with this kind of approach. I think that AI can enhance manual work, can produce to efficiency, but we have to be aware where it can also hurt us. And as far as I know, in 24, probably we can think about this regulation already be adopted, but let's see what will happen in the future.
Then I see a chicken egg problem all the time, no, with the criminals and trying to survive to this. Okay, thank you very much. Trying to change a little the subject. What about standardization in education? It's a rising topic nowadays, but what are the main challenges of this? What are the main challenges in this aspect?
Yes, Carmen, I can try to pick this up. As you rightfully said, I mean, standardization education is an arising topic, especially for the Commission. It's at the same side. I mean, the other side of the coin is it's also a bit of a concern. That's also the reason why we have been pushed since the previous Standard CT edition to put up the academy, and many other projects are following pretty much the same pattern right now. I mean, there is an obvious need to increase the number of students educated and involved in the standardization, because the requirement for this type of profession is increasing. This is due to the fact that most of it's pretty obvious demographic trends all across Europe, that the more seasoned expert in standardization in all fields are, despite they contributing immensely to the cause, they are retiring. So there is this need of replacement, and so there are some innovative teaching modules and methodologies need to be implemented, both to university but also at a higher educational level as well. At the same time, the overall number of, even if slightly slowly, let's say, that the number of students is falling short as well, and also the multidisciplinary nature of standardization itself can pose a challenge, because it bringing this topic in curricula at the university, because it touches so many. It's very various. It touches so many domains. There is no prepared or ready to go, in my opinion, way to engage with both with university and higher education institutes in standardization. I mean, of course, it's not probably enough to engage and involve academia through researchers and students and teachers, but I think also the higher managers and the decision makers needs to be involved as well. Probably this will take a long-term strategy of 10, 15 years, an horizon plan to deliver an appropriate number of standard professionals for the future, to fill the needs of the European market. We thought this is something that came up also in the standardization education event we made with the Commission in January, that I presented at the end of my slides. A nice idea could be also to promote curricula and courses, and to provide even a soft skill approach, where standardization is not only embedded in the regular curricula and courses of university, something that it's improving, I think, lately. I've heard of several departments across Europe doing this kind of standardization-driven courses, but maybe also in some vocational training as well, or through other sources and disciplines. So there is a lot to do, and I don't have the magic formula, but these are some takeaways I got from also from the community I'm in touch with.
Yes, fully agree with you, Francesco. We need to push more the education and bring the standard closer to the general public, and also for some researchers, this is a thing we have to do also. Thank you very much. I don't know if you want to add anything else. I don't see any questions from the audience, but I don't know if you want to add any thoughts about this very interesting workshop we have held today. I would like to thank you, all of you, for your very brilliant presentations, and thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Carmen, for having us here. It's been really nice to join.
Thank you, Carmen, for the organization, and thanks to all the speakers. It was really insightful for me, at least, attending the speech.
Same here.
For this initiative. Is this recorded? Yes, it's recorded, yes. Right?
Yes.
Okay. So we would like to put it also on the Infinitec channel, YouTube, if possible, and to with our community.
Yeah, yes. By the way, we will help you, Carmen, on our channels as well once it's ready.
Yes, okay. I think so. Gisela has to confirm, but I think this all the session is recorded, no?
Excellent.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Enjoy the day.